getting ready to make the black cat block for the Designs by Juju Halloween placemat, and I need to get the design to the machine, the embroidery machine, and I am going to cut out the cat using the Brother Scan and Cut. And I will put a link to a video above to see how to make cut files for the Scan and Cut if you want to do that with your designs. So I'm going to go to my folder for Halloween placemats, and I'm going to take the cat design, this one right here. You can see what they look like because I have Embroidring's thumbnailer installed on my machine, so I can see all of my designs. It just makes life so easy. So I'm going to take the cat. Let me make this a little bit smaller by clicking on the restore down button right here. It just makes the window a little smaller. And I'm going to grab the cat. I have Embroidering open, and I'm just going to drag it over, and I have the 9x14 hoop on the screen, and it looks like the design is 5 13/16 by 7 3/8. So this is the next size up hoop that I have that this will fit in. And I'm not going to do anything to it at all. I just brought it into Embroidering so I don't have to use a USB stick to take it over to the machine, because Embroidering Essentials has the ability. I'm going to click on Utility, and I'm going to scroll down to Send to Solaris XP1. XP1 is the Brother Luminaire, and it also works for the XP2. And I'm going to call it DBJJ-cat. You cannot put spaces in there. It doesn't like that. I'm going to tell it OK. And in order to make that happen, you have to have your embroidery machine turned on and have gone through its initial cycle sequence. And that's all done. Okay. And now I want to send the design over to my Scan and Cut. The cut file for that I created when I did all the designs with my pumpkin. So I'm going to come back here to my placemat, and I'm going to come over to the browser, and I'm at canvasworkspace.brother.com, and I'm going to click on New, and it's going to come up with a blank cutting mat for me, and I'm going to click on SVG. There's a button here that says SVG, Import SVG. And this is the SVG that I created with Embroidering Essentials. So I'm going to choose File, Embroidery, and I'm going to go to Halloween, where I have everything, and Halloween placemats. And I want the cat. Let me get these a little bit bigger so you can see them. Let's see. Let me see. Let's go to large icons. All right. And I want the cat. And I'm going to click Open. So there's my cat, SVG, and I'm going to click OK. That uploads my cat right there. And I'm just going to move it a little bit. I'll probably move it around on the machine once I scan in the fabric. I can see right here, when I click on the cat, it tells me that it is 6.21 by 4.21. So a rectangle of fabric that is 5 by 7 should be just fine. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to back the fabric with some heat and bond, and then I am going to cut out my cat. Because I am backing the fabric with heat and bond, and I'm going to put the fabric side down on the mat, not the heat and bond side. I know everybody does it different. This is the way that works for me. I've discovered with my humidity levels where I live, this works better for me. So I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to flip horizontal. There. So now I'm going to cut out the cat, and it will work out fine with fabric side down on my mat. And I'm finished. So I'm just going to go to download, and I can either download it to the PC, which I don't need to do. I'm not going to be using simply Applique, so I don't need that FCM file, but I am going to send it down to my machine. And I just click scan and cut transfer, and it's ready. So because my scan and cut is already on and it has gone through its initial sequence. So I'm going to hit close, and I'm all finished with this now, and I'm ready to go cut out my cat.
Okay, so I'm here at the scan and cut, and I have put my fabric on my mat, and I just put it on there. It's upside down like I said I do, and I used my scraper to get it on there pretty good so it's going to stick and hold pretty well. And when you load a mat, you really want to make sure you get this corner right here tight right up there. It for some reason there's a sensor or something, and it really likes, this is important. And I'm going to hit this button right here with the mat on it, and that's going to load my mat. I need to get the cat from the cloud. So when you, I need to get the update for it, obviously. Now, you have patterns right here. These patterns are internal to the machine from when you bought it, okay? And then there, you can scan also to, if you wanted to scan, and then there's some other options here if you hit the arrows. I want to retrieve data. And when you retrieve data, you use this button to get data that did not come with the machine when you bought it. So I'm going to hit retrieve data, and you've got, it wants to know where do you want to get it from. You can get it from inside the machine. Maybe you saved a design there before that you did, okay, it didn't come with the machine. Then here is, you can get it from the cloud, see the little radar waves. You can get it from a USB, or maybe you're cabled to your computer. So I want to get it from the cloud, and it's pulling it up, and there's my cat. You're always going to see the last thing that you transferred from the cloud. And what I want to do now is scan the mat so it can find the fabric. There's a little button right there, and you just touch that. It looks like a mat with a scanning bar across it. So I'm going to hit that and hit start. And it's going to scan the mat. It takes just a second. All right, so this is one of the things I just love about the scan and cut is, see, now I know I need to move the cat just a little bit. That looks great. I can tell the cat is going to cut out completely. I think I want to nudge it. It's a little bit easier to nudge it up just a little bit with these buttons sometimes than it is to use the pen and everything. I'm just going to hit OK. So I moved it using that little crosshair button right there. You don't have, I'm not editing the object. That's a move button. I'm going to tell it OK. And I'm going to tell it OK because I'm good with this now. I'm going to tell it OK. What we're doing is we're backing out of that menu. And now if you click OK, the next one you get is please select. It wants to know what you want to do with it. I'm going to hit select, and I want to cut. Now I'm going to double check and make sure. Right here, see this, it says half cut off. Always look at that when you are getting ready to cut. You want to make sure that that is off, because if you ever go to cut vinyl, you need to do it in half cut, and you might mess up your project. I mean, you could, but anyway. Okay, this is going to be done in just a minute, so I'm just going to hit start, and it's going to do its thing. Oh no. Well, it messed up. I didn't have it stuck to the mat well enough. So I'm just going to hit quick cutting, and it's going to move. Let me see if I can get this out. Yeah, I'm going to tell it OK. So I got to go back another piece of fabric. Okay, y'all, that happens sometimes, especially Let me unload my mat. Especially if you live, and I say all the time, if you live in a humid environment, you know how tape comes loose with moisture? Well, same goes for these mats. And my humidity level is usually in the 80 and 90%, if not more. I'm gonna put it on here, scrape it real good. If I put heat and bond side down, the heat and bond will stick and the fabric will come off. Now what I'm gonna do, and what I should have done from the get-go, is I'm going to tape the corners to the mat. That just encourages everything to stick better. Yeah, if you live in an area with lower humidity, it's so much easier. Okay. All right, let's try this again. I am going to load the mat. Now notice I didn't back out of the design at all, but I'm gonna have to because I need to scan the mat again. I'm gonna go back, and here's my scanning button. You don't wanna cancel the design. So let me scan it again. And that mat's pretty sticky. You saw my tape dispenser kind of stuck to it there. All right, and I need to move the cat so that he's right in the middle of the fabric. That'll work. And I'm going to tell OK. And select, cut, and start again. Let's see if we do any better. Bravo, look at that. Ooh, I did not want to cut out that tail. Perfect, tell it okay. Let me eject the mat. All right. And I want to be sure to pull up that tape. I don't want to leave the tape on the mat. Look, perfect. Oh, I got one little thread, look at that. I keep an X-Acto knife here in my little cup there on the side. That's a Command shaving cup for the bathroom. And I keep that there just for that purpose. Very handy. Pull up my tape. Now when you go to pull this up, you want to be careful not to, look at that, it comes off perfect. Aha, there's my cat. How cool. All right, now we're ready to go to the embroidery machine. All right, so I have my very scientific method I use here for measuring out the stabilizer. This is no-show mesh, and I just lay the hoop on it and cut outside of the edge of the hoop, and that just makes sure that it's all going to fit. And I'm going to lay this on here. Oh look, it fits. Okay, so the very first stitch is going to be the placement line for the batting. So I'm going to put black in the machine. I'm going to tie these off. I kind of twist them a little bit, and then I do a single loop and pull the ends through, make a little tiny knot, and then pull it from in front of the needle. Okay, and let the machine thread itself until it do that. I'm using an Organ 7511 needle, and I have a 60 or 90 weight bobbin thread in there. Okay, either one will work. I don't remember what's in there. So the first stitch is the placement stitch for the batting. Uh-oh. It got itself hung up around that little, oh, it's off. Okay, there we go. Don't be afraid to stop the machine in the middle of whatever it's doing so that you can prevent something bad from happening. I personally do not like to embroider without wearing glasses of some sort. I've seen needles break and tips fly, and you don't want those in your eye. So you need some sort of plastic. I just freak out about that, you guys. I'm just a nervous Nelly about that. Okay, so I'm going to put my batting over my placement line. You want to make sure it's over it by like 1/2 inch on all sides. This is more than large enough. I just kind of whacked at it a little bit, and now it's going to tack it down. All right, remove the hoop from the machine. Whenever you remove a hoop, you want to put your hand on the arm and pull the hoop out slowly. That way you don't shift at all with the machine arm. You want that to remain where it's calibrated to. Okay, and this is where you want to use your curved scissors. And I'm just going to go around and trim the batting. You want to trim it so that the rounded edge is flat on the hoop. I use a quilter's cut and press. This is one of my favorite tools in my embroidery room. Next is is it the fabric placement or tack down? Let's see. I'm going to jump ahead one. It is fabric tack down. It's not using a placement stitch, which is fine. Let me show you what I did right there so you can see that. On the Brother machines, most machines will be able to do this. So on the Brother machine, there is a button that is a needle plus minus. All right, I'm going to touch that. In the needle plus minus menu, you can jump ahead or go backwards individual stitches. In the Luminaire, you can do it by 1, 10, 100, or 1,000, depending on the machine you have. When I had the Brother PE 770, it would only go up to 100. But right up here, in this menu, there is up and down arrows. It might look like a spool of thread with a plus or minus, okay? So if I jump forward, which is down, there is the outline of the cat in the preview right here. So that tells me, let me back up, that tells me that that is tack down of the fabric, not a placement line. Now, if you make a mistake, and you put that down without the fabric, that's okay. You can just come back to this menu and do that stitch again. Pretty easy stuff. I'm going to tell it okay. If I read the instructions and had those handy, I'd know. All right, so let's tack down the fabric. I've got a great big piece here. I'm just going to pull it over, make sure it's over by at least 1/2 inch all the way around, and stitch. This line is going to be hidden inside of the seam allowance when we put the blocks together. So it doesn't matter that it's black thread. It's going to go around it twice. Okay, now it is going to do the placement line for the cat. I'm going to take the hoop out of the machine and go over to the ironing board. Perfect. Perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm crazy. All right. No steam. This is heat and bond, not steam and seam. Back to the machine. The next stitch is a tack down for the cat. I don't necessarily have to do it because I have adhered it with heat and bond, but I want to make sure that the cat doesn't stick out too far on any given edge. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. You know, it looks really good. I've got just a little bit extra right there that I'd rather I didn't, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim that, but everything else looks great. I will take that all day long over having to cut out the entire cat in the hoop. That was a piece of cake. And now we're gonna do the final satin outline. It's gonna take 9 minutes. I'll be back. Oh, that looks really good. I love how that turned out. I've got one little thread I'm gonna trim here. It's from the fabric popping up. That looks great. All right, so it's time to do a color change. We're gonna do the eyes. I'm gonna use this bright neon green. I think that is so cool. This is the Sweet Pea and Credit Thread. That is it's really good. I liked it. I've used it in my single needle and my multi-needle, and it works great. The black was Isacord. Whoop. Oh, it's a jump thread. That's what it's doing. So that's just to make a little knot, and it makes the jump. You're going to want to cut that off. Need a little pink for the nose. I'm going to use a Madeira poly here. I am not a thread snob, you guys. I use whatever color I have on hand that my machine does not mind. And my machine doesn't mind any of these. That's one thing I like about these Brother machines. They are not finicky when it comes to thread. This would be easier for me in the multi-needle, but I want to show you guys with single needle machines how to do it. I almost would have left that off, but is what it is. All right, next is the surrounding background quilting. I'm going to trim this jump thread right here. Whenever you trim a jump thread, you want to trim it from the point it went to first, not the point it started at, because look how this thread is standing straight up. It's easy to grab and trim. If you do it the other way, it doesn't stand up as well. You want that tension that was created from the starting to the stop point to use that in your favor, and it will pop up. You do that on all of your jump thread trims. Okay, and again, I'm going to use that in Credit Thread. I think that'll look okay. It's not the same purple as the fabric, but it's all right. I like the vibrancy of this color. Now, if your machine does not automatically cut the jump threads, as soon as this thing gets started and that's out of the way of where the jump thread occurs, you want to stop the machine and trim that jump thread away so that as the other circles go around, you don't accidentally stitch over one and get it caught in there. Always trim your jump threads as soon as you can. Let's see, whiskers. I'll do those in a dark gray. All done. Okay. Let me take this out and I will trim it up to within 1/2 inch all the way around. Man, that's a cool looking cat. 1/2 inch. All right. Didn't that come out cool? I love it.